Why is it important to understand cultures in international business?
In international business, often who you know is more important than what you know. And as we talk about people, we need to understand their culture. Culture is a way of life thinking, believing and living shared by a group of people, passed on from generation to generation.
Culture includes two types of elements, tangibles and intangibles. Tangibles are concrete and more easily observable elements such as how people live, their homes, their architecture, size, location, structure, and home decoration, how and what they eat and drink, how they dress, which is heavily influenced by the climate and tradition, how they entertain themselves and guests, how they spend their leisure time, how they greet each other, and languages, both formal language and silent language such as gesture, eye contact, posture, and other body language.
So if you are going to focus on one country, you're better off to learn their language. If you're going to focus on the region, maybe pick one or two languages. It's always helpful to have a language, definitely.
Intangibles are more abstract and not as easy to understand. These are what often get many business travelers and visitors into trouble. They are values, norms, ethics, and beliefs that guide people on what to do and what is right or wrong. Examples include how people relate to their environment and supernatural power, how they view themselves, the concept of self, and their relationships with family, workplace, and other societal members.
One of the most challenge I find is how to balance my work and my life, meaning my work and my family. I'm a mother of two kids, 4 and 8 years old, and I find difficult to have time playing with my kids and take care of my housework.
I encourage every single woman to try to enter the international business community as well as the men, of course, because I think that there's tremendous possibilities of bringing feminine values into the marketplace worldwide.
Another important aspect of culture is religion. Religions play an influential role in determining values, norms, and ethics. However, often among societies of the same religion, such as Islamic states, there may be a great variation in the way of life due to other unique traditions. For instance, the role of a Muslim woman is quite liberal and more modern in Malaysia, Indonesia, Egypt, and Kuwait, while very limited in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, or clearly to the extreme in Afghanistan during the Taliban regime.
For instance, in the United States, there's a lot of news about Middle East, especially conflict between Israel and Palestine. And you see these people, throwing bombs, and then they are being called different names. So, for good reason, the people who do not have enough information, they think that this is how the Muslims are all over the world. Now, keeping in mind that that group of people is a very, very small minority.
How does culture affect international business practices? This question may be answered based on how culture affects people in the workplace, the roles of employees, employers, boss, subordinates, etc., the values on seniority, gender roles, and how family ties affect human resource management practices. Nepotism, a practice of hiring family members in the organization, is much more widespread in societies emphasizing the extended family system. Bosses in a less egalitarian society are expected to be more dominating, more autocratic in general, and making more major decisions instead of asking subordinates for opinions. Communication styles also affect the cross-cultural workplace environments. Asians are typically known to be very indirect and to be concerned with saving face in order not to embarrass anyone in public. Even a CEO does not criticize a subordinate in front of others.
Face is the most important concept in Asian culture, and in Vietnamese we try not to lose our counterpart face, because losing our counterpart's face means losing everything.
Saying no is also another example of trying to save someone's face by not negating anything. So Japanese, Thais, Filipinos, Koreans, Vietnamese, and other Asians hardly use the word no. They could possibly use maybe when they mean no, or they are not interested or do not agree. Even in financial dealings, it is important that such concepts as interest is culturally bound.
When it comes to business, there's one thing which comes up very clearly is the return on investment, which what we call interest in this country, which is not allowed. It's prohibited that you should not give or receive interest on your money or investment. So considering that aspect, I think business people who are interacting with Muslims, the banks, the investment companies, have to obviously come up with innovative ideas how to satisfy their beliefs, Muslims believe, as well as get their contract and other business opportunities utilized.
Culture affects international business practices in the marketplace, in the roles of buyers, sellers, consumers, and negotiators. Culture affects which products are allowed to be produced and consumed. For instance, on foods, no pork is permitted in dishes for Muslims or some Jews. No meat is allowed at all among many Buddhists who are devout vegetarians. Regarding aesthetics, colors, image, arts and music mean different things to different cultures, thus affect packaging, product design, promotional materials, and work environment. There are many marketing and advertising blunders because many firms did not pay adequate attention to language and other cultural differences.
Well, one incident that I'm aware of is during the negotiations for some sale of California rice to Japan. The businessmen who were representing the U.S. interest were not aware of the deep Japanese attachment to the sacredness of rice, which comes out of the Shinto tradition and the practice of offering rice grains to the gods. And so just thinking of rice as a commodity, like a CD player or something like that, is not going to make it when dealing with the Japanese about rice.
The foreign manager use more and more local manager in marketing to the local company. And even marketing to the foreign company investing in Vietnam, the local managers are very effective. They know what to do, they know how to do, they know who to deal with.
Business practices are affected in the cross-cultural setting. As business people meet potential customers, business partners, and government officials from another culture, the cultural differences affect how they conduct their cross-cultural meetings in various languages, how they negotiate in possibly different styles, not to mention interactions in formal and casual settings. In a high-context culture, such as in most Asian, Latin American, and African cultures, building a trusting relationship is very important as a key context to successful communication outcomes. It often seems very slow before an agreement can be reached with a foreign partner as a result because they take much more time to get to know you. In the end, they may just need a quick gentleman handshake if they think they can trust you. In a low-context culture such as the United States, Canada, Germany, the United Kingdom, personal relationships are not as strong a prerequisite for business dealings because we don't know if the partner or customer can be trusted. Lawyers and legally binding contracts become even more important in a low-context culture.
Anyone in the business world would know, and this is what I understand and I've also heard, is that the entire thing runs on trust. Like a stock market. If everyone's confident, it goes up. When confidence goes, it goes down, right? Yes. That's how it works. You might make a little bit less in the short term than if you kind of go for the maximum at all cost, because what will happen is that you will lose. As soon as people don't trust you, then you lose. And you might not lose cash, but you lose credibility.
Religions of the world and international business. Religions are basic foundation of beliefs, norms, and behaviors in various cultures. it is worthwhile to understand basic teachings and assumptions and how religions affect international business activities.
We could perhaps count 5 or 6 big religious traditions, including Christianity, Judaism and Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism in China. These are the main religious traditions, but of course there are lots of other smaller traditions like Shinto in Japan, Native American religions, African tribal religions, and so on.
Main religions are fast being globalized, such as the rise of Christianity in Asia and Africa, with Catholicism being replaced by Protestantism in South America. Islam and Buddhism are growing in North America and Western Europe, with Islam being forecasted as the religion with most followers by the year 2025.
Probably there are about 1 billion Muslims out of 6 billion world population in more than 30 countries where there is a majority of the people believe in Islam. So I think it's very important for all our future leaders in business, in education, to understand about Islam and the people, what they believe in, to make their business transactions and dealings appropriate.
In comparing these religions, they are similar in that they all teach loving kindness and respect for humanity, all aim at developing our heart and soul. They may differ in the degree of emphasis on the relationships with supreme beings or gods.
I think that the main teaching of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam is to love one another. Each verse of each chapter of the Quran, the holy book of Islam, makes a statement about the mercy and compassion of Allah. Allah is the Arabic word for God. And the Hebrew scriptures, the Psalms, often speak of the mercy and compassion of God. And the Beatitudes, the teaching of Jesus in the Christian scriptures, the New Testament, speaks of the mercy and compassion of God. So I think that in these religions of the book, the main teaching is love. Krishna teaches Arjuna, his disciple, in the Hindu sacred text, the Bhagavad Gita, also about compassion and love. The Buddha was considered to have great compassion, and that is the main Buddhist ethical teaching, is that one should be compassionate toward all sentient beings. So I may be oversimplifying, but I think that that is the basic teaching of all the world's religions.
Let's visit with some individuals as they share some of their experiences dealing with different religious backgrounds.
When we start talking more about the different teachings, say Christian versus Buddhist or whatever, then we can actually start to see different sides of those same teachings and how they might relate, because we're translating them through an experience of a religious life. We're not just holding to views.
Just because I'm a Buddhist, it doesn't mean that I don't feel like everyone else in the world's got to be a Buddhist, or even should be. I think sometimes what happens often is that, especially when you're dressed like this, you look like a real extremist. And so then people will assume that because I'm doing this, then I think everyone else in the world. And even other Buddhists will say, well, I'm not a monk because, and then you say, well, I don't want you to be a monk. Why should I want you to be a monk? It's up to you whether you want to do that or not. So just giving the signals that you have absolutely no reservations about supporting people in doing what they do. I'm very happy for you to be a Muslim or a Hasidic Jew, or I'm very happy for you to be a fundamentalist Christian or to be a communist. Great. Hallelujah. That's entirely your business. And I don't feel, just because I happen to be a Buddhist, I'm happy in that, and I don't feel threatened by you being a Muslim. I don't feel I have to defend Buddhism. I don't have to feel I have to convert you. And then when you establish that in your heart, that kind of respectfulness, then it's very easy, because you've got no agenda. You're at ease with the way you see things, and it's not like I'm I'm really feeling like I'm right and you're wrong. If you're holding on to that, then that's going to cause conflict.
You know, so I do encourage people to look at some of the business etiquette books and to get a sense of what the culture is, and don't feel you have to fill in the silent spaces if there's an awkward pause. You know, to be aware of the different etiquettes that cultures have around women. It's not because they're mistreating you or being sexist or they're you know, trying to you know, exploit you. These are built into their cultures, and they don't necessarily have the same interpretations that we've given them here in the States. And enjoy them. Don't judge them. Don't misinterpret them.
Well, my practice in my travels has been to try to foster tolerance at home and then take that abroad. People who have very deeply held fundamental beliefs are not, by virtue of that, bad people. That means they're passionate people, and what needs to be done is to have conversation and tolerance between people. It's not that a deeply held belief is bad, it's just when one thinks that everybody else's beliefs are wrong, or that one is not willing to talk. Talk is such a good conflict resolver. So to go overseas and meet people of various religious beliefs, one needs to have a good amount of toleration to tolerate their beliefs, to try to see the world as they might see them.
We have learned the need to be culturally sensitive and respect diversity, that religion is a main foundation of cultural values and norms. We must learn and understand them to be able to do business around the world more successfully. This is essential for becoming good global citizens and successful global managers.